Right, it is 2 minutes after the top of the hour. Of course, it is time for the summit. Every Wednesday, we are here live and direct from Rwanda Television. If you have DSTV, we are on channel 299. And if it's the first time you're watching this particular show, I want to welcome you and give you a warm welcome to the summit. We are live every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Take note of that and tell everyone else who you feel needs to be watching this to come closer to their TV sets. I hope you've charged your phones, you've also recharged your data bundles, and you're ready to be able to interact with us. It is an interactive program, a program that is actually aimed at ensuring that we have real conversations about real issues that affect us on a day-to-day basis. We are scaling the heights to bring you those guests that you'd like to see on the program. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Let me introduce my panelists who will be joining us tonight on a very interesting conversation. We're looking at the issue of unemployment and skills gap. What needs to be done? That's the big question we're asking tonight, and our focus is on the role of higher learning institutions in beating or rolling back the cases of unemployment and the skills gap. Let me bring in my panelists who will be joining us, and they'll be sitting as I call them. They'll be coming in on set right here, right about now. I'll start off with none other than Dr. Rose Mukankomeje, who's the Director General of Higher Education Council of Rwanda. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes to join us. We can actually applaud. Applaudissez, s'il vous plaît. There she goes. Have a seat here. Thank you so much, Deje, for joining us. Also joining us on set tonight is none other than Dr. Raymond Ndikumana, who's the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Strategic Planning and Administration at the University of Rwanda. Applaudissez, s'il vous plaît. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for making time on the show. It's the biggest public university in Rwanda. Dr. Edward Kadozi is the Acting Head of Department, Strategic Capacity Development, and at the Chief Skills Office at the Rwanda Development Board. Thank you so much also for making time and for joining us on the program. The Chief Skills Office is a very interesting office that we'll also be hearing its role in actually cutting or curbing unemployment rates and the skills gap. Lastly, joining us on the show is Abdurrahman Nyonzieze, who's actually the Chief Executive Officer at Smart Class Rwanda. Thank you so much also for making time. A young voice on the show, also very keen on this subject matter, looking at the issue of entrepreneurship. Like I said, it is an interactive program. All you need to do is get in touch with us at the hashtag #TheSummitRW. Always, every time that you're tweeting, at the hashtag #TheSummitRW. We are live right now also on our YouTube channel. My tweet right there has the YouTube link. Go ahead on the YouTube space and be able to leave a comment on the chat box. I'll be able to read those comments along the way. Thank you so much for making time for this very important conversation, and I appreciate you all at this time. I know all of us woke up so early, but we're still here serving the nation, and I appreciate all of you for that. I want us to start off by understanding the subject matter that we have at hand today. We are looking at statistics that might make us worried or might also encourage us. We're looking at 1 billion jobs being liable to radically to be transformed. Radically. 1 billion jobs are actually at the grim of being transformed radically by technology in the next decade. We are also looking at workers lacking advantages that come with specialist and scarce skills being disadvantaged. In the event that they do not have the right skills for the jobs that are tech-driven, they are going to be disadvantaged. I want us first to understand whether we are blowing things out of proportion as media. Is there a crisis of skills gap? Is there a crisis of unemployment? Or everything is just okay? I want to start with the regulator who sits just next to me, who regulates the higher learning institutions. That is Dr. Rose Mukankomeje. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you think? What's the state of the situation? Is there a crisis really of unemployment and the skills gap from where you sit?
So you are saying, thank you so much for inviting us. But I will start by saying that the responsibility of HEC is to regulate high learning institutions.
Yes.
We accredit new programs, we follow, make sure that the programs which has been accredited are well implemented. Now, every time when a high learning institution is bringing a program, we request them these times, what is the the need assessment you have conducted
Yes.
in order to bring this. This is something which is coming very new,
Yeah.
Whereby as a country we have to think about the fourth industrial revolution.
Correct.
And government of Rwanda has made a step ahead. We have traveled this big period of COVID. And so I think Rwanda has learned a lot. We have put a lot of effort in putting infrastructure, these cable, internet, fiber optics, internet almost everywhere. It's still very expensive, but we are on the right track. We have a ministry in charge of ICT and innovation, which means we're trying to go to the labor market to be at least international.
Yeah.
So, but as you are right in saying, the world is changing.
Yeah.
And we cannot stay and stand alone saying, what can we do? So we have to think ahead and try to respond to the questions. And all those high learning institutions actually were with one, but we have almost 40 high learning institutions, 2 which are public and others which are private. They have introduced in their programs internship programs
yes,
to make sure that students, they learn in the classes, but also they know what is happening in the market. This industrial attachment is part of the training part. So which means Rwanda is not isolated. We're in this world which is changing. We have to create jobs. Youth, it is good there are many, but we have to make sure that what we are doing, we are responding to their needs. Sometimes here I used to go to school, after graduation, you go and you knock. At RBA, you knock to the ministry, seeking for a job. This era is ending. People, you have to leave the university at least having your own project to make sure that you are going to be able to implement it, and they have skills. You will tell us more, but as heck, we have to make sure that what they are bringing to us, we agree to review, to accredit them in order to respond to the needs of the country.
That's interesting that you say that that era is ending, the era of finishing first school and then you go knock and look for a job. But I want to understand, first of all, as the role of, the Higher Education Council, from the perspective of making sure that these higher learning institutions are living by their promise or what they signed up to ensure that they are preparing the candidates for the jobs of now, but also for the jobs of the future.
Yes, as you know, we sitting here, we are implementers. We have policymakers. And what we are implementing is the policy put in place by our government. So when a program is accredited, we have to go after that to assess and see. We have different assessments, we have inspections, but the purpose of it is to make sure that when the student has graduated, he has got the minimum to go to the labor market. This is our job. We are not going to the classes, we are not teaching. We are not, what we are doing is to accompany the high learning institutions to respond to what they have agreed to do, which is training Rwandans, even foreigners. You know very well, we have some foreign students. These days, I think we have more than 5,000. They are still trying to come more and more. And we are putting infrastructure to make sure that they are welcomed in the country and they receive what they need. Because education, knowledge has no border. No borders
at all. Correct. I'll come to Dr. Kadozi because the Chief Skills Office at the Rwanda Government Board, like I said earlier on, it's an interesting office and you'll be sharing more about that. But let's understand, first of all, from the University of Rwanda itself, the biggest, public institution of higher learning. And we've asked ourselves, first of all, is there a crisis? Is there a problem? Is there a challenge? I want to understand, first of all, from where you sit, what are the steps that the University of Rwanda has taken to ensure that its academic programs are actually aligning with the skills and knowledge required for the jobs of now, but also for the jobs of the future? Because these jobs are changing. We talked about the technology-driven jobs that require skills, that if you do not have those skills, then you end up being disadvantaged. But someone has paid their school fees, they've come and they've studied, only to maybe find themselves not compatible with these jobs that require certain skills that they don't have. What's going on at the University of Rwanda on this?
Thanks, Eugene, and thanks for inviting us and on this platform. Your first question is there a crisis? I could transform it a little bit. Can we be able to adapt to the crisis? I think that's the key question.
Yeah.
Because obviously the world is evolving, everything is evolving,
Yeah.
same as education, same as jobs, same as skills.
Yeah.
So the key question is, are we prepared
To adapt.
to adapt? So as the University of Rwanda, if you know, the University of Rwanda is the biggest public university in Rwanda with over 30,000 students distributed in 6 colleges. Definitely we are prepared. We are prepared in 2 aspects. One is the attribute, the graduate attribute. What type of graduate do we want to put outside? One is that you have to be a global citizen.
Yeah.
Meaning that when they talk about these jobs that are at risk and all that, you are not like, it is not new. You have to be updated. Another thing is lifelong, to be a lifelong learner. Because at the end of the day, if you prepare today, tomorrow there will be different skills, and another day there will be different skills. So the key question is, are you prepared to adapt? So those are the attributes we try to develop our curriculum in line. But when it comes to the program, actually we have quite revised some of our programs to make sure they are aligned to the job market, but also they integrate the technology. Because even if you are doing history, or even if you are doing languages, definitely you are going to need computer science or technology. For example, one of the programs that is interesting, I'm trying to bring in some of the areas people were not aware they require actually IT technology. One of the program is that we are having, it's computer sciences, but related to linguistics. Because you need to, all these gadgets we have here and there, they are, at the end of the day, they use the languages.
Yeah.
But how do they capture, let's say, if you are speaking Kinyarwanda, which has different aspect of structure. So every part of our curriculum now is integrating technology.
So you're confirming today here that that computer class or package is not what most people used to do in terms of learning the parts of a computer, just computer packages, MS Word, those things. I want to understand how you've been able to transform from that to what is actually the market needs, the kind of skills that are needed for people to understand, tech using the computers that they often used to use during the computer lab sessions.
One thing is that this is a journey. If you are talking about it, it's not like we have got there and nothing is needed to transform. We are in that journey of transformation as everybody. But what we are trying to say is a part of awareness. Awareness to the student, awareness to the teachers, but also awareness to the community. Because let's say if we are talking about fintech or finance, before we wanted to cramp all the formulas and all that, but then there are computers or there are technology doing that for us. How our students are adapting to that. So that eventually it's a matter of awareness, it's a matter of courage to adapt and courage to change the programs. Because as you know, sometimes they say some of the institutions that are hard to change, universities are in, and the second one being the Catholic Church.
Right. Interesting. Dr. Kadozi, that's a very interesting point over there, Daktari. The Skills Office, it is mandated to provide effective oversight and coordination in the skills development and employment promotion ecosystem. Tell us how you're doing this and what you're seeing as far as trends are concerned, as far as tonight's conversation is concerned.
Yeah, thank you, Ananga, and thank you for inviting us. Let me first set out the reality that is known.
Correct.
I think we need to understand the role of technology and the fourth industrial revolutions in the 2 contexts. One, the context of the West. The fourth industrial revolution is considered as a risk to the world of work because it is pushing out the majority of labor force out of the traditional jobs. However, we needed to think about the industrial revolutions and its effects on the world of work in developing countries like the case of Africa, Rwanda in particular, differently, because technology is being used as, of course, enabler and a catalyst of different sectors that creates jobs. That's one. Second, it is also helping the job seekers to create jobs, because soon, even today, we are seeing technology changing the way we work. We are shifting to remote working. Digitalization is increasing, and it is catalyzing other sectors, which also ends up creating jobs. But also, we are seeing again the green energy being used. So, at Chief Skills Office at RDB, what we do, as you rightly put, is to look at those trends and analyze the trends in perspective of the country's development priorities. And look at, okay, where do we have job potentials, and what skills that these sectors or priorities needs to drive the economy.
Tonight, what are you able to report on those lines that you just mentioned?
So I think what we are able to report is that so far we developed different analytics. We convene those actors within the ecosystem and inform them that, okay, these are the trends. And then adjust to your skills development, because Chief Skills Office is not a developer of skills, but adjust to this based on the needs of the market.
For example, what did you advise the University of Rwanda?
Of course, we work together.
Yes.
So when we analyze all these labor market trends, the gaps, the skills, then we come back to the University of Rwanda and other actors, other universities, TVET, and say, okay, let us plan for these skills, because this is how the trends of the market is going. And from there, they are able to do that. But
I know my viewer and myself are keen to know, what's the new direction? What are the advices that you're telling them to adjust to in terms of the skills that are needed? Which areas are you advising? Just maybe one or two.
I think two things. One, as you rightly put, we need to increase digitalization even in our learning. Increase digital literacy in our learning, because it cuts across. That's one. Second, I think maybe you will lead to this, is that we are increasingly seeing the skills mismatch. And that one is very critical as far as employment is concerned. So in doing that, we try to say, okay, this is where the gaps is. And this is where maybe the traditional way of developing skills and teaching has to adjust. Then come back to the universities and the TVET institutions. Okay, this is how we teach. However, there is something very important, as you rightly say, what do you report? Because doing that is not something that is easy in the right way. You have to bring all actors, because universities, TVET are skills suppliers. But you have another side, which is the market, the private sector, which creates jobs. So always, as you say, that jobs are changing, that is the private sector. So we make sure that we bring together the suppliers of skills and demanders of skills, well, that's the demand side, but also the government, different institutions in the government, and other actors, development partners, then work together through a framework that has been developed by the government of Rwanda through RDB Chief Skills Office, the Sector Skills Council. Now plan for skills, assess skills based on the sector. That's where you are able to track, okay, this sector is growing this way, and then these are skills that are required. We do that. That's one. Another thing is that obviously every year universities, TVETs are supplying graduates on the market. But how to connect these graduates with the industry? And that's what we also come in to help. Pressing internships, but also developing the systems. We have developed the college job portals that is able to connect job seekers and employers. And the question of information misinformation,
Yeah.
you reduce that,
Right.
which also ends up creating unemployment.
Interesting. I'll come back to you just so that we can build up on some of those points that you've just made. But let me hear, Abdul, you are not in government, you are not a regulator, you're not a higher learning institution representative. From where you sit, where do you see the mismatch? Because we heard here that there is a skill set and mismatch. When people graduate, they get to the job or the labor market and find that whatever they learned is not actually what the market needs. This is not the first time I'm hearing this, and I'm sure not the first time even us here on this panel are hearing this. Where's the gap? What needs to be done? What needs to be done to be able to ensure that we are now fixing that particular challenge?
Thank you so much for having me tonight. This is a very interesting conversation. And starting from Dr. Rose, coming back again to
you can speak louder. We can't hear you from this end.
Oh,
yeah.
Coming back to digitalization, I believe the gap is actually from the, I think, the curriculum, I guess, because if you look at how the technology is even rapidly changing. I will tell you from experience, because from the tech world, like even this year, a new language has been born. Like there is a new technology, there is a new software development language that is now happening, which is maybe less than a year old, but probably from the experience, this new technology seems like the best. And then so many tech companies are trying to cope up with these trends. But if you look back to what the higher learning institutions are doing, is quite a little bit, there is some slow motion from the Higher Education Council or the teaching institutions compared to how fast the technology or even the industrial revolution, I guess the 4.0 is happening, even in the education, whereby someone who is already or who is really good at teaching him or herself could do or could outperform someone who is actually attending a school. So I just want to mean that the mismatch is usually from the fact that sometimes the teaching institutions are still stuck on the, I don't know, how do I call it, traditions, the way things should be done. And but in terms of regulations, I believe in terms of policies, it is really, really stated. I think the challenge could be from the actual implementation, because looking back to the high school, which is exactly where my company deals with, it says that the CBC, the competence-based curriculum, says that students has to be, to do much more than even teachers. Say teacher will be giving introduction to topic something, and then students has to go for a research to get the 70%, come back, do the presentation, discuss, get some final inputs from the teachers, and then proceed. But I believe if this could be implemented, even the university, this could yield much more results than just having it all stocked somewhere and expect to just push it to the job market. I will give some practical exercises towards the solution. There is some startup companies like mine. One is called the Bag Innovation. Bag Innovation is trying to bring the real experience directly to students. I believe Bag Innovation is already working with the University of Rwanda. Amazing. And then, for example, they reach out to Smart Class, ask me, what is the challenge? What is the case? For example, we are trying to build a new product, a new mobile application, or a new social media strategy. And then I will put the scenario on the platform. And then University of Rwanda students who are interested in taking my business case will start working on that particular case, right? And then I believe they'll be receiving some mentorship, some advisory from Bag Innovation. That is number one. Next is that I also know another company called Umurava. It's also another startup company from Rwanda. They are trying to allow these talents. I believe they don't really much care about the degree, but the skills, because they have their own pipeline that you go through to be tested, to get to know, hey, you are a JavaScript developer, you are an AI, the artificial intelligence developer, you are skilled in this particular field that is probably high demand on the job market. And then if you pass through this selection, and Smart Class is looking for a talent in, let's say, Flutter development, the fintech technology thing, I'll reach out to Murava, and then they will give me this exact talent. Because they already know they have these skills, I won't bother and spend much time in trying to understand what they're capable of.
Interesting. And I think this brings us to the question back to Dr. Rose, especially on the aspect of keeping up with the changing trends, changing, skill sets that are required. Whereas, it takes years for someone to actually go through a higher learning program. And during that period when they are within that space, a new tech, that tech feature comes up, or a new innovation comes up that probably might require them to start looking for those skills for that. How do you manage, or what would you recommend for higher learning institutions in that line? Or is this one of the headaches that probably higher learning institutions are having, your regulatory framework is also having? How do you keep up? Because technology is changing every minute.
I would like to come back. The gentleman is talking about the new applications.
Yes.
But those who are inventing those new applications, this is because they have been at school. They have learned computers. So from what they have learned, now they are innovating and so on and so forth. What I wanted to bring here, there is just a minimum baseline. And then if there is a new technology coming on the labor market, I was thinking what has transformed Africa these days. For example, in Europe, you have landline telephones. But only in Africa, very recently, the mobile phones have invaded the whole continent. This is where the penetration was so quick, because there was a need. Because people, they don't have landlines, very expensive, and now mobile phones are working. And governments here and there have made them accessible. So now, if what I would like to understand, first of all, there is a new application coming in all over the world. You can sell your patent. You have innovated. In some countries, we have visited, my colleague and myself, they have at the university a place called it is for innovation. You go there, you have an idea, the university is supporting you to make your idea reality. So this is what our university has to do. But you cannot take a kid from primary and suddenly being able, maybe those are so limited, are so few. So those new ideas they have invented, I think what we need, they have good application, they sell it, they bring to the UART, students can learn about it. But where we are focusing, the world is changing. This is true. You can stay here, you are learning what is happening. We have CMU, students stay here in Kigali and they are learning what is happening in the US. But for that, we need internet, money, equipment. So in our continent and in Rwanda, we are trying to make sure that students they are able to have access to internet, and the internet is still expensive. And what I think those new innovations, they can be good when they are spread out, when they are shared, and the best way, either they keep themselves, they sell to company which can put a lot more money, or they can work with high learning institutions, and then they can buy, borrow, and do that. But your question is, it is about unemployment. We are producing students and graduates, and they go to the labor market
and find nothing.
So this is where we have to focus. Why? So because our private sector is not yet, what can I say, is also growing like the whole economy in the country. So private sector is getting support. Those good innovations have to be taken by the private sector, scaled up, and make them functional, so on and so forth. That's one. What the country has to do, as us, we are implementing at the policy level, we inform them.
Yeah.
The lesson learned from those who are in the private sector, those young entrepreneurs, innovators, they inform us. And the information we are getting, they inform the policy. This is when high learning institutions are trying to embrace a new way of doing business. You stay at home, you can learn where you are.
Yeah.
But if you are a medical doctor, you cannot, or a nurse, you cannot learn
from home.
But mathematics, engineering, but you have to go to experience, hands-on.
Yeah.
So this is why I think our president is saying we have everything. We have knowledge like others, but maybe means are still limited, but we have to work towards getting more.
Right. Over and above the means, Dr. Rose, the issue some people argue is that our education system is still colonized. We need to decolonize it. It's not market driven. It is what we were told to learn. We need to know English. We need to study Vasco da Gama when we have you here to actually celebrate and study in our books. We are taught when was the first newspaper written in New York, in London, and you're in a journalism class, you need to actually be taught how to become a better journalist who can be able to go. And probably that is the problem. When they come with their programs to your office and put it on your desk, are you able to tell them, oh yeah, they are just, this is just too colonized. We want to learn things that are African, things that affect us, things that are of today. Maybe that's the problem, no?
Maybe, I don't know. So we assess what we need. You see, we have people, let's say, we have seen this Beke Arena constructed by foreign people. You see Chinese on our roads, they're the ones who are. So now this is why government has said, let us put a lot of effort in TVET, skilled people, capable. But when you have a boss, the head of the work, using English, so you have to communicate with him. So Kinyarwanda is still used here in Rwanda. And what we have also got, people are telling us, your students are so clever, but they don't talk. Actually, when you are coming in this talk, the two people here next to me, they're saying English. We have to communicate. So Kinyarwanda were good. So now when we are talking about colonization, Europe, they are ahead of us. Because the reason I saw the facts are there. Even the startup, even the applications, everything is written in English. So then what? If what we are trying to do is how can we domesticate?
That's the point.
Not eating everything. This is what we need. This is when we said, maybe the government said, let us have internet all over the country. So that was a policy decision and political decision. And we put the means, and now we will start teaching computer science. CMU is there, University of Rwanda is teaching, even all those departments. Now we wanted to mainstream computer literacy to make sure that, as he was saying, people can communicate, can use. There was a time when people started by paying on this. Our people, my father, my neighbor, so they have got a pin. They don't know how to read and write. Ask the kids, can you help me? And they get money. So money has gone. He does. So you see, there is a minimum instruction or awareness. We have to actually have written awareness raising. It's important. It's very crucial.
Dr. Raymond, I mean, what do you think about this? People say that the challenge that is leading to this skill gap or unemployment is because what we are being taught when we go out there, we cannot use it anywhere. It is not current. It is not what the market really needs. I mean, talk to someone tonight who actually graduated from University of Rwanda with a good marks, or probably got, first-class honors, but they've been tamarking with that nice certificate, and up to today, for the last 5 years, 4 years, they have not gotten a job. What would you tell this person?
One thing I just want to reduce some myth here.
Yeah.
When you are good, you're always good. And I think if you hear the leadership of this country, the president always tells us to be good. If you are doing something, do it at your best. The same thing for the student. The best graduate, they are not jobless at the moment.
That's it.
So that's one. But
The best graduates are not jobless.
they are not jobless.
That's factual.
That's factual. And two, the other thing that I can bring in here, when we are talking about mismatch and skills, one need to look at it from a whole ecosystem, not just one piece.
Yeah.
What do I mean by this? I mean that be the industry, be the higher education, be the journalists as you are, be the policymakers, all of us need to come together.
Yeah.
And actually we say, what do we need and how do we achieve that? I give you an example. In this country, it was realized that we have a very serious shortage of people in food technology. And the key question was, how do we develop them? And the answer was, let's develop the program. Let's find some staff who can teach. And let's put together an environment towards that. The same thing went to transport engineering. Before we didn't have that. Now we have a program dealing with transport engineering because that was clear. But how these efforts, and the examples are many, we have plant engineering, energy, horticulture, medicine, because we have to increase the health workforce, even accountant and corporate finance. But how did we come to that one? We came together. We say, Rwanda needs this, and how do we develop that? So one thing on this aspect is people need to work together, need to come together. But again, and I keep insisting on this, there is the role of universities, and then there is also other players. For example, you need to have foundation. At the end of the day, technology will evolve. That's a fact. But do you have skills? Do you have the foundation that allows you to navigate
and maneuver
to maneuver around. Let me talk about AI. Some of the basic of AI, it's mathematics, it's statistics. If you don't get those basics, maybe there is another thing, there is going to be something that is not going to be called the AI, something else. But if you have those foundations, and that's why we are putting effort not to having expert, and in the current review of our program, we are trying to reduce that aspect to where you have people, they have specialized when they are in the first year, they don't even the world or what is out there. We want people who have foundation, and then let alone who are flexible to be lifelong learner. And then again, the other aspect, and I like that was touched on, it's also communication skills. Even that engineer, it's not just going to be happy with knowing, the concrete and all that. They have to talk about it. They have to
sell
discuss,
themselves as well.
To sell themselves.
Yes.
But also, let's face it. Skills that are needed are different level. Maybe not everybody need to come to the university. Maybe everybody need to go to the TVET, as we were talking about, so that there is that complementarity. There are some practitioners, there are some managers in that aspect. But again, and we love the work the RDB is doing for the Chief Skills Office, to have this data. If you are talking about, yes, there are no skills, but do we have the data? And then, of course, we change.
So you use that data
we
to
use
actually
that data
data-driven
to change that.
Policies and decisions.
Yes, because you asked Dr. Kadozi what they had advised us. Recently, it was clear that in Rwanda, we need so many people who are qualified as professional accountant and professional finance specialists. We got the data. We need to accelerate that number, with those numbers, but also the skills. So then we came together with everybody who's involved in the training. How do we do that? One solution that is here is that they can't be trained as a professional accountant or professional finance people when they have graduated. That needs to be integrated. So by the time they finish, they already they can be. So
we are talking about industry collaborations, and I'm liking that this is already happening at that level. Dr. Kadozi, it's part of the mandate of your office, or where you sit in the Chief Skills Office. How is this being done? How is this being strategized? Because you mentioned that you are going to private sector to actually encourage them or push them to take in the interns or those who need to go through internship programs, but also ensuring that the treatment is good, they are being paid their stipends. How does it go beyond just that? How do you plan your year to say, okay, this year, this is a strategic plan to ensure that there is industry partnerships? University of Rwanda is partnering with the RBA, is partnering with the private sector. How do you ensure this is happening?
Yeah, thank you, Nangwe. I think that is the core, because if you have academic institutions seated there doing whatever they are supposed to do, separate silos, designing their curriculums, and say, okay, we are putting out these academic programs where we think that's one of the sources of the other skills mismatch. The question here is that it's not about, or not only just pressing students through industrial attachment. That's one aspect. But another one is the feedback effect. How in industries, which is the market, which is able to determine how the trends of the economy, jobs, and needs of the market are, and they're able to inform the academic institutions. So we try to bring them together and make sure that they are able to inform. One, contribute to curriculum development, quality assurance, certification. Then here we are bringing in professional bodies. That is very critical. And in doing that, you are trying to avoid the future adverse effect where someone will get out of the university or TVET when he's or she's not having the other right skills for the market. And they are the ones that are able to detect how things are working out. That's one. Second, it all comes from evidence. So we do tracer studies, and we are able to get this information. We do labor market assessments and make sure that, okay, this is a new trend that is coming out. Let's say Dr. Lemon is mentioned about the FinTech. So that's one example. Some time back, you couldn't hear something related to FinTech in our academic institutions. And now here, when we are talking of FinTech, it's a combination of many skill sets. You are talking of engineers, you are talking of finance, you are talking of lawyers, all this. So that is one of the sector, let's say, that is growing because of the government policy wanting to position Rwanda as a financial hub. So now our role is to assess that trend and then come back to those who are developing skills and say, okay, now please adjust your curriculum. That's one. Another one is they talked about complementary skills. For example, they talked about communication. So I think education, it's not about creating the other lawyer or engineer or whoever. It's a combination of many things.
Creating a wholesome person.
Exactly. So what we do is also we work on that, and we bring all together this, the skills developers say, okay, please, this is the information, soft skills are required, and this is their contribution to employment. Please consider this in your curriculum as well.
Interesting.
And before you go there,
yes.
When every higher learning institutions, they are supposed to have classes teaching, but industrial attachment. They sign an MOU between a high learning institution and industries. And make sure that who does what. The private sector is what are we going to get. And high learning institutions also they have to follow and to make sure industry attachment is not a subsidiary part.
Yeah.
It is a big component whereby what you are learning or have learned in classes, are you able to practice it?
Yeah.
But again, we are still having a small private sector.
That is accepting.
Yes. And now maybe what we have to think, and we have started discussing, University of Rwanda, they have a department in charge of economics, accounting, they have civil engineers, they have those and those. Those people, they have to sit together. I've learned that in India, you have someone who has done chemistry, another one has done biology, another one procurement. So they sit and they develop a project. So one is the, let's say, water here. I wanted to have another Inyanje, and the one who we need someone who has done biology, another one who has done chemistry, but we need also somebody who is in marketing.
Yes.
So
to sell the
procurement.
product. Yes.
So if those people sit together, the one engineer, ICT business person, you sit together, you have one product.
And you can start.
You start your project.
Doing your project together.
And instead of I do it myself, I'm going to hire you, another one hire you, and at the end of the day, you don't have the market.
Yeah.
So I think we have to work on that.
Yeah.
Having small projects which can give us jobs.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But I think this is very, very important.
Yeah.
So
I like that idea, because all of us, even in our own classes, in our own spaces, we are all talented differently. Let me not take so much time, but bring in Abdul as we now slowly wrap up. Where do we go from here? What do you expect to see moving forward as a solution to this particular challenge? Where do we make mistakes? If there's someone watching us today and they're probably giving up on higher learning, going through school, what are you telling them tonight?
From the employer perspective again,
yeah.
I would say, like the Chief Skills Office said, there is a need of a touch or the involvement of the PSF into the curriculum design or curriculum advisory, because we employers are the ones who knows this gap is there, to be honest. This gap is there. Someone graduates in finance, yet there is QuickBooks, yet there is Odoo, there is Kudi Books. These are the tools that she must or he must know and be ready to use. If not, as the employer, I don't really need to spend 3 months to train you these important tools that you have to know. So back to the second recommendation is that I'd say to Dr. Rose that university students need as much time on field. Actually, I'm actually, thanks to University of Rwanda, I benefited from the Innovation Hub in the University of Rwanda. That was my first exhibition back in 2019. Yeah. Also, again, to Dr. Rose, that I attended this in industrial attachment. But to be honest, you will attend one in year one or two in year one. This is not equally as the theoretical part. And sincerely speaking, there is a higher need as much time we spend in class, because the world is really changing so fast that these students needs to know, and it's so sad, to be honest, it's so sad to know someone who has a very good grades and a degree from software development who couldn't compete with the self-taught developer on the market. Very sorry to say this from the perspective of the IT, but the same thing can happen if you did biochemistry, but someone has been taking extra courses online regarding this biochemistry
going the extra mile,
they can outperform you. So this much time is needed as the time spent in the classes. And lastly, let me talk to students. It's your job. It's your job to do your own research. The university has given time, has given computer labs, has given internet. It's your job to know Bag Innovation. It's your job to know Umurava. It's your job to know even Upwork. I know friends of mine that are earning more than $1,000 a month who are still in university because they have taught themselves a very high-paying skill, and they have used this Umurava platform or the Upwork to land the jobs in Europe. Thank you so much.
Interesting. We need to go. Dr. Kadozi, where do we go from here? What advice, just very briefly as we close?
I think we needed to strengthen academic industrial collaboration. And another thing, we needed to make sure that we build the foundation of our education and we don't leave behind. We let the digitalization, ICT skills be one of the, really the foundation of whatever we are learning.
Correct. Interesting. Dr. Raymond.
Bring everybody together.
Bring everybody together.
And secondly, you know, on this one, Universal Rwanda and other universities, let's be flexible. Let's be flexible and also recognize everything is not made in stone. It can change. And then the next one, let us use the opportunities that were given to us. I give you, and this is an example I want to say.
A quick one.
All students now are getting laptops that the government is sponsoring. Let's use that opportunity to learn all these skills.
Right, interesting. Dr. Rose, you have the last word.
Government is giving, I don't want to say the minimum, but education does not end at getting a bachelor degree or a certificate. We have to make sure to use it. In developed countries, if you are a journalist and you don't have a job, you can convert yourself in something else. But here, it looks like we are saying no jobs, no jobs. What are we doing to make? I have met a very young lady. She has done finance. Now she's busy investing in agriculture because there is money there. And she has knowledge on finance and so on and so forth. Let us be flexible also for seeking jobs. And not saying, I am an engineer,
and
if
I'll
I don't,
that's
it. So, of course, there are some jobs you cannot convert being an engineer and going to medical sector, but you have to be flexible, be ready to learn, and to invent, to innovate, to make sure that this country is so good. In Europe, it is cold. This is where people, and you cannot sleep even outside. So, here, we have to make sure we use all means. Exactly.
Thank you so much. I told you it's going to be the shortest 1 hour of your life. And that is how it goes. And I'm just going to read real quick some of the comments. Willie on Twitter says, I am from the University of Rwanda School of ICT. I hope this is going to be a good one, Dr. In my understanding, the higher learning institution like you are should strengthen or create a gateway program that increases the exposure of young graduates to the labor market. Universities should develop accelerator programs that will connect higher learning institutions and industry. It's a very interesting comment. Manzi says that based on the education policies, what is the role of institutions or universities to fight against unemployment based on their programs? I think we've spoken about that in detail. J.L. Kaintore says, we have 2 countries which overcame that issue of education successfully. Singapore with minimum population and China or India. We need to think fast and be bold in our decisions. Cheers. This is what he says. And I want to just go real quick just to read what we can see on YouTube right here. I don't know if I've walked out of set, but I'm really sorry, guys, but I had to do this. There you go. So on YouTube, we have so many comments coming in right there. TVET is locked down upon. Lady Visionary says, how about reaching those low-income villages so they do not get left behind? She also says, I think there is a problem with that statement. Did all students get the same teaching and the necessary support? I think she was commenting as the show was going on. And then Brian Otieno says, after internship, direct employment. I think there's power in internship. You never know. If you're hardworking, you might actually get a job. We have another one right here who says, perhaps Rwanda also needs to increase incentives of the educators. Just a suggestion. VC, I don't know, DVC, I don't know if you're able to talk about this, but not today. We'll talk about the incentives. But we want to end this program on this note, but there's so much in terms of comments that have come up right there. Interesting conversation. Let the talented ones get jobs in transparency and remove corruption. Also a very important comment right there. We want to end it at this particular point. And when I say thank you so much for making time, this conversation doesn't end here. It continues on our social media platforms. Use the hashtag #TheSummitRW. Let's keep talking. Go onto that link. If you've not watched it, go ahead and watch it again. Leave a comment. We'll be able to share that. They are all on social media, and they'll be able to also reach out if you have any comment on that. We'll continue. As always, my name is Eugene.
As always.
And Nangwe. Good night and goodbye. Good luck.